Krishna Garg, and I was born February 19th, 1952. In northern India, where I was born, Garg is a very common last name, so a lot of people go by their first and middle names. Krishna comes from my grandfather's middle name, and Sunil comes from the actor Sunil Dutt, whom my mother was a very big fan of. My family is what originally inspired me to do the art I do today, because my parents were so supportive of my art career. I was raised on a farm of 30,000 acres, and until I was 10 years old, I was taught by tutors with 8 to 10 other kids, some of whom were cousins, others were local kids from the community. When I was 10, we moved to New Delhi because my father was brought in to be the senior advisor for the Indian Ministry of Food and Agriculture. In my family, Holi was the biggest celebration. Holi marks the end of the winter harvesting season, and so on a farm of 30,000 acres, you can imagine it was very big. My favorite part was my grandfather. He would get high, dress in his wife's clothes, and dance around with all my friends and family. One of my favorite memories at the time was we would go outside, lie down, and we would just look up at the sky. We would see sometimes the entire Milky Way stretched out before us. Now, because of the infant mortality rate in that part of India, my father didn't hold me until I was 13 years old. In fact, the first baby he ever held was my own daughter. Years and years later, in 2007, my family and I were in Paris for my daughter's 16th birthday when my father passed away. He was a yoga master and he practiced regularly, but his health was failing. It's traditional for the oldest son to return to India, and I carried his ashes 300 miles to the Ganges River. It was an amazing experience meeting all the people who came for his funeral. I only knew him as my father, but I met someone who knew him as my friend. I met someone who knew him as my cousin. I met someone who knew him as my coworker. There isn't really a liberal arts major in India like there is here. I received my bachelor's in chemistry from an Indian university and came to America to get my go to graduate school, and I attended Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. I eventually got my doctorate in physical chemistry and received my law degree from Rutgers, Newark. I lived in Greenwich Village, and I met a woman named Kathy who told me I should play in a jazz club, but I only knew how to play the sitar. After we broke up, I still went around to some jazz clubs, and I was the only Indian person there. I was eventually asked to play in one of the house bands, and the drummer's wife introduced me to Ellen. Now, Ellen and I, we started dating, and eventually in 1975 we got married, but while I came from mainly secular Hindus, her family was a very traditional Jewish family, and they did not approve, especially her mother. Eventually, we divorced, and I moved to Teaneck, New Jersey for my job. Now, at my new job, that's where I met my current wife, Michelle, and she was one of only 2 or 3 women PhDs in the entire company. When we first met, it was my first day of work, and she pronounced my name wrong and asked me for data I didn't have. Apparently that did not faze me, because after a few years we started dating. We moved in together in 1983, and we got married in 1991, 2 weeks before our daughter Nina was born. I took the buyout package from our company in 1999, and I have not held a 9-to-5 job since. After that, I started my own consulting firm, the EcoShelf Group, and we've done work in Thailand and Vietnam, and I was the executive director of the Union County Utilities Authority. Art has always been very important to me. I used to do more traditional works, but now I work mainly in light. I finished a piece above a gallery in Jersey City, and now I'm looking for a gallery of my own to present my work. I want to share my art with so many people because I want to inspire them the same way art has inspired me. I want to give someone that experience of looking up at the stars. I want them to feel that moment of seeing the entire galaxy spread out before them.